And now would you please welcome our keynote speaker. She's been a practicing attorney for 22 years, Ms. Lucia Thompson.
Yes, nice and short. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think it's amazing that you all are here on a Saturday morning, especially at 8 in the morning. I applaud you guys for being here. I'm honored to be here today, and I want to say thank you for Mrs. Loya, Mrs. Villarreal. I can't quite see out in the audience right now. There's Ms. Villarreal. Thank you for organizing this. Y'all are really, really lucky to have something like this. When I went to high school, we didn't have something like this, and in my family, we knew one lawyer, and that was the person we would call for anything that came up. But I think it's amazing that you all have the opportunity to talk to some practicing lawyers, judges, and get an idea of what it is that they know and the wisdom that they could impart on you guys if they were sitting in your shoes today. My name is Lucy Thompson. I've been practicing 22 years now. I am a lawyer that only does divorces. I do custody cases as well, child support cases as well. They're normally highly contested, emotional type cases. But it's what I like to do. There's not very many lawyers that like doing family law because it's so emotional. But I do want to tell you all a little bit about my story. I am a mother of 3, and I was born and raised here in McAllen. I went to McAllen ISD and I graduated from McAllen High in 1993. Go Bulldogs. My son Diego graduated from IB last year, and he is currently at Southern Methodist University. My daughter Lily is a junior at Memorial, and my little one is 5, and she'll be starting Gonzales Elementary in the fall. I am a firm believer in this school district. I believe that it truly does prepare you for the next step in life, and that's going on to college or deciding that you want to go off into the Army, the Marines, or do anything else that you want to do. I believe that McAllen ISD definitely prepares you to do that. I kind of wanted to share some of my background with you guys because there are some of you that this may or may not resonate with or connect you. I might not be able to connect with you, but I do want to let you know that there is hope. I was one of 6 children. My mom was a single mom. And she decided, in her infinite wisdom, when I was 10 years old, to adopt 3 children. And we lived in what we used to call the projects. I understand it's not the correct term to use nowadays, but we lived over at La Retama, which is South 23rd and Ivy Avenue, in front of the Starlight Burger. And my mother was always adamant. She would walk us to school. I went to Alvarez Elementary. She'd walk us to school. She'd pick us up at the end of the day. And she would always say, "Did you do your homework? Did you do your homework?" And I remember thinking, why are you telling me to do my homework? I, of course, did my homework. But in 4th grade, while I was at Alvarez Elementary, Mrs. Willis, I'll never forget this woman, who was not from the Valley. She was a tall, thin blonde. She was unlike another teacher that I'd ever had. She really made an impact on me. And she would see that I would get bored in class because I would finish the assignments early. And instead of punishing me because I'd go talk to the other kids because I was bored, she got me tested for the Gifted and Talented program. And it ended up that was my problem, per se, is that I was just bored and I needed to be placed in another class. So I got placed at Crockett Elementary, and I did the Gifted and Talented program there. After that, I went on to Lincoln Junior High. I was a Scottie for 3 years. And then I came here to McAllen High. In my mind, I wanted to be a dancer. Mind you, I'm all of 5'2", so the chances of that working out probably weren't going to happen, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a dancer. And so I tried out for drill team, which is obviously the steppers, and I luckily got in, and I had an injury my freshman year, and so I had to get out of steppers. But when I went to my counselor, she says, you need to take another elective. And I'm thinking, well, what other elective is there? I can't do what I want to do, which is drill team. She says, I think you would be really good at debate. I didn't even know what debate was. Here I was in ninth grade. I was from a poor family. It was a new term for me. I didn't know what it was. I was a little unhappy about it because of where I was in life. But I remember thinking, okay, well, I'm going to try this. My counselor's telling me to try it. And I did. Within that first week, I absolutely loved it. It was exactly what I needed in my life. My debate coaches were Mrs. Salinas and Mrs. Kilgore. They're, again, two influential people in my life that taught me research skills, communication skills, leadership skills, and time management skills. When you're in debate, you have to be preemptive and think about what is the other side going to say. Well, that's exactly what you do in the practice of law. When you go to court and you're preparing your arguments, you don't just prepare what I'm going to say, you anticipate what is the other side going to say. You write those down, and then you have a counter to that. So debate taught me at a young age how to do that. The other thing it taught me is communication skills and how to talk to people. It's not necessarily, and I say a lot, you would think I'd have better communication skills than that. I'm apologizing. But it's not just about being able to say the right words. It's being able to connect with people and being able to say, look, I'm like you. I, of course, understand what it is that you're telling me. And it also taught me leadership skills. We were probably 20 to 25 students in debate from freshman to senior year. And when you were a freshman, you were bottom of the totem pole. But when you became a senior, you were now who the freshmen looked up to. And so you had to behave a certain way, you had to act a certain way, you had to be sure that you were a good influence over the younger class. It also taught you time management skills. You went to school, obviously, all day. You'd have to practice after school. We were normally here. Our debate class was back over here till about 6 p.m. And then you'd have to go home and do your family stuff, do your homework, and then get going for the next day. And then every weekend, it was pretty much every weekend from like August to January that you were gone on the weekends. And so there was no football games. There was no going out with friends on the weekend. There was none of that. You were out doing debate tournaments on the weekends. And it was really satisfying for me. It gave me confidence that I didn't think I had before that. And you would think that being on drill team, which requires some kind of confidence considering the clothes that you're wearing and you're dancing in front of hundreds of people at the football games, it was a different kind of confidence. It was knowing within yourself, I can do this. If someone has a problem, I'm going to be able to give them a solution of some sort. When I was in debate, it was my debate coaches that would say, you need to go to law school. You need to go to law school. And I remember thinking, y'all are crazy. Like we knew one lawyer, and it wasn't even a friend really per se. It was just someone we knew. The idea of someone like me coming from La Retama and who didn't speak English till I was 8 years old to be a lawyer was not something I had in my mind at all. But my debate coaches were insistent. And I think it's those teachers that you connect with that make that connection for you. I kept telling them, no, I want to be a doctor. I think that's pretty much what a lot of people want to do when they're young, is they want to be a doctor. And I continued saying that all through high school until I got to my first semester of college. And I took college biology and I got a D. And I was really disappointed. And I said, okay, fine. I'm not going to be a doctor if I get a D in biology. So I did pre-law. And again, just like the drill team and that not working out for me and debate worked out for me, again, when I was in college and pre-med not working out for me, pre-law worked out for me immediately. That first semester, I knew for sure that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to law school. I decided to graduate college in 3 years. The school I went to is Southwestern University out in Georgetown. It's a small little private school. but it's really expensive. And so to save my money, my family money, because I got scholarships, but it wasn't enough, I would have to get loans. And so I didn't want to be in debt, $100,000 to go to college. So I finished in 3 years. Again, like I said about my high school years and getting a D in my freshman year, I wasn't the smartest kid in college either. It's not like I was the top 5% or summa cum laude, none of that. I was top 10%. I was just about average. I got into law school at South Texas College of Law in Houston, and I graduated from law school in 1999. And I took the bar the first time in 1999. I didn't pass it. And I believe I didn't pass it because there was some family stressors that were going on in my life at that point in time with my family back home. I didn't give up. And so that following year, I took it again in February of 2000, and in May of 2000, I was licensed. And you might be wondering, why is this lawyer of 22 years telling me what grades she made? I want you to know that even if you're not the smartest kid, even if you fail a class, even if you fail the bar exam the first time around, you can still do it. Don't let anything like that bring you down. Know that you have the capacity to do this. If I could do it, I know you all can do it. And I'm not the only one. There's plenty of other lawyers. And there's lawyers that passed it the first time around. Michael Cowan, I remember a lawyer back when I first became a lawyer, he was #1 on his bar exam in the state. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what a brilliant guy. How did he do that? And sure enough, today, he's a really successful lawyer. And I'm not as, financially stable, I guess, or I don't make as much money as Mr. Cowan does, but I do know that I make a difference in my field. In 2013, after practicing 13 years, I decided I was going to be board certified. I saw the need in our county. Up to that point, there was only 2 lawyers that were board certified here in our county in family law. And I said, well, why don't we have more? Well, I found out why. Because when you do the application process, you see it's an application that's probably 70, 80 pages. It asks a whole bunch of questions. You have to go back through your client files, and then you have to take yet another test. And I was still traumatized from taking the bar 13 years earlier, and that was 13 years later, that I took it again. That I went and I did the board certification exam, and I passed. But it's not passing the board certification exam that I'm most proud of. What I'm most proud of is that I inspired 2 other lawyers here in town to get board certified in family law, and they're my age. And so the 2 board certified attorneys that we had in family law were Katie Klein and John King. And they're older, they're probably 60s, 70s. And so my age group, I was the only one. And so I influenced John Ball and Brandon Hollybar to also get board certified in family law. And they did. And I'm not saying I was the one, but I think it's nice to have different generations of board certified lawyers in this area. I think it's a shame that we only have 4 board certified lawyers, but I ask you, please, when you go to law school and you come back, after you've been licensed 5 years, you're eligible to take the board certification exam. Please do it. In larger counties, Bexar County, Travis County, Tarrant County, Denton County, they have a plethora of lawyers to pick from that are board certified. And unfortunately, our county doesn't have that. So I ask you, please, after law school, consider doing that. So I skipped a little bit about 2013. So I didn't tell you after law school. After I became a lawyer in 2000, I decided I did not want to practice in Hidalgo County. My family was here, and I didn't want to be in Hidalgo County. I didn't want to see them every weekend. I didn't want to do that. I thought, no, I need my space. So I went to Cameron County, which is literally 40 minutes away. And after 2 years of being away from my family and driving home every weekend to see them because I wanted to be with them, I came back to Hidalgo County. And I was just talking to Sam Saldivar in the back about this, about how you want your children to come back. I ask you, please, once you go to law school, come back here. Make a difference here. This is your community. This is where you connect with people. This is where you have relationships with people. This is where you make a difference at a fundamental level. In my practice, I have had clients that, I'm trying to think of an example for you guys, that are teachers, that are principals, that are counselors. When they see me, they say thank you. And it's that level of connection that you make with a client, for me, that is gratifying. You know you made a difference in that person's life at that point in time. So after being a lawyer in Cameron County and then coming here, I worked for Katie Klein. One of the lawyers I mentioned is board certified. And in 2005, I had my oldest child, Diego. And it was a difficult time for me because you have a newborn, and yet here you are fighting in court for custody of children. And you see parents that are abusing their kids. You see parents that are neglectful. You see parents that just aren't acting in the best interest of your children, of their children. And it really did something to my psyche. And I decided I didn't want to practice family law anymore because I couldn't with a newborn at home. It was too much for me. It took me, I ended up leaving Dale and Klein. I went into insurance defense, and that was okay, but it wasn't quite my passion. And so after 2 years of being away from family law, I left the firm I was at, and in 2008, I formed my own firm. I went out on my own, and I decided I'm gonna do divorces the way I wanna do them. And I'm gonna work the hours I wanna work, because that was another thing for me, being a mother. At that point, I only had 2 kids. Is I wanted to be able to take my kids to school, pick them up, do activities with them if I could, and if I wanted to, and if they wanted me to, because they get to an age where they don't want you at all their activities. But once you get to that point and you figure out, okay, this is how I want to do it, and I'm on that track, it is so revealing. It's just not revealing. It's just so inspiring to know I reached this goal and I'm here now. I was talking earlier about some clients that I have. I can't really share the details of stuff because we have attorney-client privilege that doesn't allow me to tell you all details of stuff unless it's public record. But I can tell you that I have helped daddies get custody of their kids, which is very rewarding to me because it's not the norm to see dads with custody of their children. I've helped abusive women get out of relationships that they shouldn't be in. And I feel like I've made a difference. But whenever you all go into your breakout rooms, take advantage of the judges that are here, which is Judge Marroquin, Judge Aliceda, Judge Regalado, Judge De Luna, and Judge Viescas, because they can give you details. They have, what they share with you would be public record stuff, and so they can share a lot more with you about that than I could. And one of the other things I was contemplating when I was writing this speech earlier this week was, okay, if I'm sitting in your chair and I was in high school, what is it that I would want to know? And how do I build that confidence as the speaker up here? I want you to know, if you're thinking of going to law school, don't just think about it, go do it. It's only 3 years. Medical school is 4 years, and then you have to do a residency program. Business school is almost the same length of time. We have programs here in Texas that let you finish in 2 1/4. Baylor has a quarter system that you can finish early as well. If you're not a good public speaker, or you don't have confidence to speak in public, you don't have to go into the courtroom. You can be in-house counsel for a business, a big corporation. You can go and do their work. You don't have to go to the courtroom. Or you can use your law degree to help you manage your own business. So if you know, I want to have my own business, having a law degree definitely gets you in the right direction. Right now, all of you are on that path. you were motivated and disciplined enough to get here on a Saturday morning. Take debate if you can. It teaches you research skills that are invaluable at this age. Take theater or debate as well for communication skills. I mean, imagine being up here on this this stage, doing a play and speaking in front of people and giving out different emotions. That definitely gives you confidence that other activities wouldn't. Take other extracurricular activities, do track, soccer, anything else that teaches you time management skills. But most importantly, reach out to the lawyers in our community. I am almost confident, about 90% sure, that if you called up a lawyer here in town and said, I'm interested in going to law school, can I come to your office and shadow you or intern for you to get an idea of what it is to be a lawyer? I'm almost certain that lawyer would say yes. Like I said earlier, I didn't know many lawyers before I went off to law school, but I think it would have been nice. One of the things that was really eye-catching, or surprising to me, I should say, when I started law school was finding out that there wasn't test. There wasn't like a 6 weeks grade or a paper or anything like that. Your first semester, you take 4 to 5 classes, and there's one final exam, and that's it. So there's not a test the first month. So you go the whole semester without any grades, and at the end, you take a final. And if you pass that final, you pass that class. If you fail that final, you fail the class. I think knowing little things like that would have prepared me a little bit better for law school in terms of knowing, okay, you need to pay attention from the beginning all the way forward. Granted, I know I should have done that anyway, but I think that would have helped me in terms of being on time and being on point with my readings. I think having my own law practice since 2008 has definitely changed the way I look at time management skills. I have to be sure that I set aside time for my family, I set aside time for my staff, I set aside time for working. On top of that, I have to have people skills to manage my staff. In my office, there's 15 of us, lawyers and staff, and we're all different. And so learning to communicate with each of those people is definitely important. I also have to have business knowledge, because if I'm not good with money, we're not going to be making money at the end of the day. Then you have to know the lawyering part, which is the research, writing, and communicating. So be sure to know that it's not just I go to law school and I'm done. There's more to being a lawyer than just going to law school. You need to have those relationships in this community, because it's the lawyers basically that send you the work, or by your reputation, that's how it is that you get to a certain place. So even after you come back from law school and you come and practice here in this county, please know that the way you are in public, that definitely influences what other lawyers see. And even when you think people aren't looking, they are. So I also implore you, please come back to the Valley. We need more lawyers down here. Yes, we have a ton, but I definitely think it's the thing to do. You have to come back here and help out. Not only that, once you come back here, you can be up here, and you can be in those breakout rooms, helping instill the desire in our next generation to come and be lawyer, go to law school, and come back and practice here in our county. I think when you go out into your breakout rooms, take advantage. I can tell you, I know Jesse Gonzalez here. Jesse is a master business planner. He's got a business model that very few lawyers can imitate. Terry Palacios is a criminal defense attorney who you have to call if you get in trouble. Hopefully, you don't get into trouble, but he's the one you want to call. Juan Villescas is a righteous man who has taught many young lawyers how to properly prosecute a case without cutting corners. Judge Armando Marroquin is a fair man as a judge, as a personal friend as well, who listens to people. Judge Ernie Alaceda is ridiculously bright. And on top of that, he also served our country in the Army. So again, we were talking about time management skills. I remember when I first met him, it was about being in the reserves. And you think, well, how do you have time to do that? But he's managed to do that. Leah Wise is here as well. She's a young woman who's broken barriers, and I'm sure she's going to keep breaking more barriers. Judge Karina Garza de Luna is a role model, at least to me, in the way she balances her work life and her family life. Lucia Regalado is a personal friend of mine, and it's amazing to me, and I admire her for the way she does well at more than one area of law. So like I said earlier, I only do divorces. Lucia Regalado does divorces, criminal defense work, and personal injury work. For me, I can't imagine being able to do all three, but she manages to do that. Miss Ledesma, I just met her here. I think it's amazing that you started at the DA's office over in Bexar County last year, and that she's here today to speak to you, even though she works in San Antonio. She's from McAllen, and she's a product of McAllen ISD. Take advantage of these people. I urge you, get to know them. Pick their brains as much as you can. Ask the little things like we talked about law school, that you have one exam. There was certain classes like legal research and writing. I remember we just had to turn in like 4 or 5 papers. But for the majority, I learned things that I didn't know before that. Like our reading assignments in law school, we would well read about 150 pages a night. And that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but imagine having to do that every night. So whatever question you have for them, even if it's how much did you have to study each night, it's not a stupid question. It's things that I wish I would have known going into law school. I also expect you all to come back after law school again and teach the next generation of students to go to law school so that we can continue making a good name for this county. Thank you.